Madison, thank you so much for having a chat with us. And also, thank you so much for making this album. I have listened to it nonstop since it has been released,
Thank you.
bop after bop after bop after bop. What I love, especially, is the fact that there are so many tracks on there. When a lot of albums have come out in the last while, there might be 10 or 11, and that's great. But then you hear the artist say, but I had these other ones that I wanted to put on it. Was it just a case of, yeah, I need to put everything I've got here. I need to put all the tracks I love on here.
Yeah, I think that like my situation was pretty um particular, I guess I could say. I had been, making music and creating stuff for years, and I had never really been able to showcase all of that in one place necessarily. I was kind of in like a single game, and I only ever released my EP, which was only 7 songs. So when I was creating my debut album, I figured let's just make it and continue to make it until we feel like we're at a point that we all feel happy. And if that is 12 songs or if that's 30, it is what it is. And yeah, there's kind of this weird thing in this day and age that people recommend you don't do albums that big because like it's just
Mm.
I don't know, there's like theories that you're just kind of like giving so much into the world at once and then you're not going to have anything to put out in let's say 6 months from now. But I felt like I had a story that I really wanted to be told from top to bottom. And yeah, these were just the songs that made sense in that narrative and the songs that made sense in that world. And so I felt like one song couldn't exist without the other, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I just kind of was like, this is it, this is the size. And it wasn't a very easy sell, but I'm really happy. And it doesn't feel like it's 17 songs
It
either. I feel
doesn't.
like you listen to it through and through, and you're like, that was 17 songs. Like that didn't feel that long. So
What
yeah.
I loved about it is it almost takes you on a journey. I think it's so well paced in terms of how the tracks kind of go up and down. They bring you to slow moments and then bring you all the way back up again. It never feels like you are feeling the same thing in the different sections of the album. So work well done when it comes to that. Congratulations. How does it feel? Because you mentioned there, you have done a number of releases in the past, but never actually released a full body of work like this. So arriving at that after all those years, what was that day like when it came out? Was it this just massive sense of this moment arriving?
I think it would have been a bit different if it had come out when it was scheduled to, which was over a
Hmm.
year ago.
Yeah.
I've kind of had the last year to process it coming out. Whereas I think if it would have just came out really shortly after we finished it, I would have been really overwhelmed positively, but also just it might have been a lot for me. I think the album
Mm.
is heavy for me. There's a lot of things that I touch on that are big things to me. So I kind of think that I was able to process the release and I was able to really be like, okay, like I have this album coming out and it's not going to be out for a while. So I was kind of just able to sit with how I was going to feel. So when the day finally
Mm.
came, it felt very surreal. It didn't feel like it was album release day. It felt like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but I was definitely the night it came out, kind of not, I don't want to say unfazed, but I was just like,
Yeah,
I had been so prepared that I was like, okay, like it's out. And
you were almost over prepared for it in a way.
it's
Yeah.
out, and I was very relieved. I felt an overwhelming sense of happiness and gratitude for my fans who had been so
Mm.
patient and waited so long for it. And I was just really excited that they finally had it in their hands. It meant a lot.
Yeah, because they had been creating full songs out of the snippets that you'd released and all that sort of stuff, which is amazing. And you can just see that connection between you and your fans in such a beautiful way online when you do your lives and all that sort of stuff. It's just so lovely. It feels like a one-to-one conversation across the board. And they were eagerly awaiting it. Do you get nerves when you're kind of releasing something like that to them, especially as you said, this is an incredibly personal album in so many ways. There are bangers on there, sad bangers though, ones that you can dance and cry to in many ways. You're a very, very private person. I think it's so lovely how you kind of talk about that and keeping things to yourself. So when you're releasing something like this that people can interpret, does that give you a little bit of a, oh God, what do they think about that? What are they going to think about that?
Oh, 100%. I very much so fixate on what people think. And so releasing this again, like I think the preparation, obviously when I was told that my album was going to be pushed realistically a year, it was devastating and it was a very hard
Mm.
thing to accept because I had worked on it for so long and I was so excited. But especially because like I had been in this cycle with my fans of like it's coming out and then it's not, and then it's coming out and it's not.
Mhm.
So I just felt kind of like an idiot when I had to tell them it was pushed again, and I felt guilty, and there was nothing I could do about it though. So I kind of had like a year literally to um heal a bit more from certain things and come to a, at least a good place with certain things where I'm like I can set this out in the world and I can, speak on things in a way that still make me comfortable. I think that there's certain things that I talk about on the album where if someone were to be like, hey, can we dissect this song, I'd be like, no, I'm not
Mhm.
really like there yet. So everything's up for interpretation. I hope that people, connect with each song in their own way and relate their own stories to each record. But yeah, it was definitely, to answer your question, intimidating for me, and I was a bit nervous at first, but like I said, I think I had like a good year to, also I was able to like start opening up about my mental health within that last year, and like
Mhm.
actually begin that conversation prior to the album dropping, which before we had like album drop and then I was planning on kind of talking about certain things. So I feel like it actually almost feels better that I was able to kind of like tee up like, hey, I have gone through certain things, I struggle with X, Y, and Z, and here's the album. And I think it made more sense.
And it's a beautiful thing as well because with an audience that you've across all demographics, to hear you talk about those things is it's incredible, and to hear people as well, possibly having conversations on the other side of that. How do you sort of process your fans, messaging you? And I'm sure there's a huge amount that you don't see everything, but your fans messaging you with their own insecurities and their own issues that they're feeling, because that's a heavy burden for anyone to take.
Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I think there's
Mm,
one side of it where I feel so honored and I feel so touched and so grateful that so many people, since, my album has come out and since I've started to discuss my mental health a bit more candidly, so I can't even begin to express how many people have been like, you talking about this has made me feel less alone, has given me strength, has given me courage, X, Y, and Z. And that means the world. That's what keeps me going. But there's also, yeah, like I'm a very empathetic person, and I feel a lot in general. So when I, hear on a daily basis that's, people are like, oh, you saved my life, like that kind of can feel a bit like, oof, like I don't know if I should be responsible for somebody's like feelings and emotions. That I always
mhm,
try to tell my fans whenever they come to me and say things like that, because a lot of them will say either like I saved their life because they were going through a tough time and my music really helped them, or whatever the situation might be. But I always try to give them that reassurance that like even if I might have helped you, like you need to credit yourself, and you're the one who got yourself
mhm,
out of this dark place mentally, because it's not easy. And I don't want them crediting me entirely for saving their life, and I want them to give them themselves the affirmation they deserve, which is that they also partook in this, and not just credit me and be like, you're the reason I'm still here, you're the reason that I survive. Because
mhm.
like I said, it takes a really really strong person, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort to get yourself out of that dark place. And it makes me sad when I hear some of them discrediting themselves and giving me all the hard work that they did, because that's not the case. I think that they also deserve credit where it's due.
Madison, you're absolutely wonderful. That is so eloquently and gorgeously put. And I don't think everybody would be able to say it like that and mean it as well. So that's absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
For you, you said, the last year you wanted to release the album and you wanted to get it out there. And also at the same time, we've had this worldwide pandemic going on. We don't know what's happening, on your side of the world as well. It's completely different to other places too. For you, what has been your biggest life support in the last 12 months? The thing that's kind of gotten you through those times where you were frustrated and you couldn't release, or you couldn't do the things like tour and see the people that want to hear your music.
It's been them, like honestly, like you said at the beginning, like if you've seen one live stream I've done with my fans, like these are
Mm-hmm.
my friends, these are the people who they get me, we speak the same language, we understand each other without words, and it's a really beautiful bond I've created with a lot of them. And over quarantine, particularly when I was living with my parents again, I have divorced parents who I haven't lived with since I was 12, like as in like gone back and forth between houses and stuff. And that was a lot for me. And yeah, they just were there. And they, you know, at night I would go live from a private account that only my like diehard fans followed, and there would only be like 2,000 people watching, versus if I go live from my normal account, there's, you know, so many people that I just also like, there's so many people watching that don't really care. So I'd like to go live from somewhere where I feel like I'm only talking to people who do. um and yeah, they literally, like, you know, they kept me afloat, and I feel like we did that for each other. And I feel like it was kind of like it was a nightly podcast almost, that we just would talk, and I would answer their questions, and guest some of them. And it was just a really like safe space, and um I felt really free to talk about whatever I wanted to, whatever I was feeling. And I didn't feel like there was a time I can recall where I had a really bad day, and my first instinct was to turn to them. It wasn't to, you know, call my friends or call, you know, my mom or dad or whatever. It was to go live, and it was to go live from this account, and it was to talk to them. And because they really care. And I remember I was just hysterically crying, and you would think like, you know, that's not probably the smartest thing to do. And I feel like afterwards, maybe you would look back and be like, maybe you shouldn't have gone live when you were like inconsolably sobbing. But like, they were there for me. And I don't even see clips from that live floating around ever. Like, everyone was really respectful and like didn't screen record anything. And like, it literally just felt like I was just talking to my closest friends about, you know, stuff that had really been bumming me out. And it's really beautiful that we've been able to create this relationship. And yeah, they've kept me afloat for the last 10 years. And um, definitely
You,
through.
you you felt like you were talking to your best friends because you were, you know, because there is that connection. I think that's absolutely stunning, and I just love how honest you are. It's so refreshing and endearing and beautiful. We share a lot in common. We both can't do the WAP. I may be a boy,
I
but
learned
I
how to do it. I learned I can do
what?
a
How do you do it then? I can't do it.
I learned how to, I did it. I learned how to split like 3 months ago. I was like, I can't, because I could do the whole dance except for the part when you go into a split. And
Yeah,
so
me too.
I was
Not
like, I
really.
have to learn how to do a split, and I can only do it for like 2 days, and I can't do it anymore. But I learned how to do the split, and I was very proud of myself.
I may be a boy, but I also can't speak boy shit. Like, no, can't do it. And I love RuPaul's Drag Race. How was that experience for you, being on RuPaul and being, you know, being in a position that none of us get to be in, other than, you know, the most qualified drag queens? What was that like?
It was honestly just such a mind-blowing experience. Like, I was on it twice. So I guess judged All Stars, and then I partook in Celebrity Drag Race, which I actually like finagled my way into, because when I was guest judging, I overheard them talking about it, and I was like, what are we talking about? Because like, I need to be a part of this. And I'm a huge Drag Race fan, and it was just an honor. It was really cool to just see the behind the scenes as well, and just actually like be in the pink workroom and be like, oh my gosh, this is real. And yeah, it was an honor. And shout out to Michelle Visage, because she's also like the kindest, most warm-hearted
Yeah,
person I've like ever met in my life. And Rue was incredible, but me and Michelle like really, really bonded, and I really love her. And she
I've
has
met her a couple of
two,
times. She's
she has
wonderful.
two Pisces daughters, and I'm the third Pisces. So
Congratulations. Like I said, I've had this album on repeat, and because of those 17 tracks, I find new things in it every time I listen to it, which is, like I said, rare when it comes to music these days. For you, this era of Madison Beer, what do you want people to remember it as, and the message that you're guest trying to put across with the music right now and where you are at?
um like I said, I hope it just reaches everybody in an individual way. I hope that, people going through whatever it might be, because everyone has their own very subjective and individualized story. And I just hope that um, it helps anybody and everybody, and reaches people who it might have not. And I hope, people make mixtapes with certain songs on them for each other. And yeah, I just hope that it does for people what it did for me.
That is stunning. And this album is stunning too. So thank you so much for having a chat with us. Thank you so much for being so honest. And thank you so much for being there for so many people who need you, by, you know, I guess reciprocating that energy that you're giving them too. I think it's stunning, and it's very rare. So congratulations. You deserve everything you get. And I will try learn the WAP the next time we chat. Let's see if I have it down.
Amazing. Thank you again. Seriously, I appreciate all the questions you asked and what we talked about. So thank you.
Yeah, no, honestly, I talk to people all the time with this, and this I just felt quite special and rare. So thank you so much. It's
Thank you.
you just have a great energy that's I don't know, we won't be miles away through, technology and all that, but I can see the honesty and how earnest you are in how endearing you are through, I guess, how empathetic you are as well. It's stunning.
Thank you.
And come to Ireland. Come to Ireland when you can. 100% needs to happen.
I will. I promise. When I go on tour, I will definitely be back in Ireland.